Hey there, hope you're having a good day. My name is Benjamin Portnoy. I am the hustler in chief for Side Hustle Elevator. That always gets a nice little smile. And with me is a longtime friend of mine, Shawn Collins. He's the co-CEO of Affiliate Summit. It's the leading industry conference for affiliate marketing, which regularly sells out and features the biggest names in performance marketing. He's been in the world of affiliate marketing since 1997. And Shawn, I was trying to think about how long you and I have known each other. I don't know if you would remember that. I would guess it's been at least 8 or 9 years, maybe.
I was figuring like between 8, 9, 10 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I got to Austin in 2010.
Okay. So I have consistently referred to you as the nicest guy in affiliate marketing and online marketing in general. So tell us more about how you got started in this industry, what your background is, and just who is Shawn Collins, or based on what's on your podcast, I wanted to learn more about the real Shawn. So I'm going to ask a variety of questions I figured you have not been asked in previous interviews.
Awesome. So way back now, it's 23 years ago, I first got into affiliate marketing, and I was working in magazine publishing. I was newly married, and I just wasn't making ends meet. So between like a new house and school loans, cars, all that stuff, I just needed to find a way to make more money. And I came across the Amazon affiliate program back in '97, and I made a primitive site on AOL at the time, just as like a things to do in New York City.
Yeah.
And it was just, I didn't really have anything going on for a while because it was just a junky page that wasn't even mine, but I was steering friends there, and I started getting a couple sales for books about New York City through Amazon. And so I got the bug there. I started buying domains and just started multiplying everything. And I just was hooked. And at the same time, I was frustrated with what I was doing for work. I was working in like the circulation department for Ziff Davis. Used to put out all the computer magazines, like Computer Shopper, and at the time Yahoo Internet Life, before when they were bigger than Google. And there wasn't that much of a future. Like you had to be there till you were in your 50s to ever consider getting an office in middle management.
Sure.
And so it was just the traditional hierarchy. It wasn't that attractive to me.
That a lot of people probably go through.
Yeah. It was
get out of.
It was as the internet was really taking off, and the dot-coms. And so I was looking in the New York Times classifieds for a job, and I came across one for a place called MedSite. And they're basically trying to be the medical version of Amazon because they found that there was a big need all around the world for all these medical books that just weren't accessible. Mm-hmm. So in a lot of cases, the shipping cost more than the books, but people desperately wanted them in Australia or India or Japan or what have you.
Yeah.
And so they wanted somebody to run their affiliate program. And I came in there with just basically enough terminology from being an Amazon affiliate to BS my way into it, because I'd never taken any kind of marketing class in college at all, and I'd never worked in marketing. I didn't really know much about it, but I just went in there and dazzled them with some nonsense about clicks and conversions and
talk the talk, huh?
Yeah, it was a nice combination of me tricking them a little bit and also being willing to work for cheap.
Yeah.
And so they took me on there, and it really nothing was happening in affiliate marketing yet. It was Amazon and a handful of other players, so there were no resources to learn how to do it. So I just had to sort of make it up. I had to just approach all these different medical schools and the student groups, try to get them to be affiliates. So I had to just do a whole big sell for these long phone calls to make them understand what it was and why they should do it. Mm-hmm. And we had to build like a homegrown technology. It was sort of shoddy. And so it wasn't easy to try to introduce this to all these people at the time, but after a while it caught on, and we started doing really well. And I left there in '99. I think later on they sold to Medscape or somebody, and they did really well. So it was nice to be involved in that, even though I didn't have any kind of participation in the sale.
And then you moved on to Affiliate Summit, which you've done for a long time.
Yeah, I had a couple of affiliate management jobs in between that, but I started that in 2003. Mm-hmm. And so I had met my partner, Missy Ward, at another conference called Affiliate Force. Mm-hmm. And we were helping out volunteering to build that. I had just written a book and had it published. So I had a pretty good list of people that I was referring there, and she was helping with different aspects of it. But we were both sort of frustrated because the guy who ran it was dismissive when we gave him ideas how he could improve it. Yeah. And it was basically a big party, and we just thought that, and it didn't get really any of the big brands. and also on a cruise ship. So that didn't help with that. But we were just trying to really help him steer it in a more of an educational direction and something that would really be sellable to the bigger brands. And he just brushed us off and told us that we should know our place. And so we're a couple of stubborn people who said, let's make a better conference than him, even though we had no money and no experience at all in organizing events. But we both had connections, and we just figured that let's do this because we were pissed off at this guy. So basically, it was the whole Affiliate Summit brand was born out of just being like pushed away by some guy we were trying to help for free.
Yeah. So Affiliate Summit is it's beyond just the one conference. You guys do multiple conferences all over.
Yeah. So we so for many years we were doing New York and Las Vegas, and then we got acquired a few years ago, and so we were able to expand to Europe and Asia. Okay. So we've been to Singapore the last couple of years, and Amsterdam and London in some spots, and maybe even more expansions coming in the future. So there was some things that we just couldn't do on our own. Back in 2008, we tried going to London, and it was a successful show from the outsider. But for us, we worked our tails off for 6 months to lose a little bit of money.
Yeah,
because between the exchange rate at the time and just all these fees we just didn't even know about.
Yeah,
we had to get like a VAT ID. We had to pay some agency to get it for us, then to pay again to get it taken down, and just all these unforeseen costs. So even though it was a fantastically successful show visually, for us, it sort of sucked in the background.
Yeah. Okay. So let's back up. For people who, I mean, you've been in this industry for years and years, and the industry itself has changed a lot in that time. And the people who are doing affiliate marketing, and there are all sorts of different ways of doing it, but let's keep this concise and just, what is affiliate marketing for people who don't know? How would you define it simply?
So I guess one of my favorite definitions comes from Ray Dolan, who's been a big SEO person and big around affiliate marketing for years. And I think it was her who said that affiliate marketing is people marketing products they don't own to people they don't know. So basically, you're using these other, like an Amazon and trying to sell to people who you've never met, just marketing online. And I guess sort of a simple example would be maybe like if you talk about like pro football, if you're like a Houston Texans fan, you might create a fan site, and you can go in there and just blog about your opinions on the players and the team and the opponents, and maybe say like, look at their new jersey for some throwback jersey or whatever. You can get this at fanatics.com, or here's a book on the history of the Texans you can get on Amazon. And then so the fans, you just keep building up through quality original content. More and more people watching your blog, and then they'll go through and they discover a new hat or a new jersey from you, and they buy it, and then you get that commission, whether it's 5-10%. And it really varies, the commissions, depending on what you're selling. So a lot of hard goods like computers are pretty low, like as low as less than 1% sometimes, but then some like hard goods like 5-10% up to like 50% if you're selling like a piece of software or something digital that doesn't have as much overhead.
And then with some digital products, you have as much as 100% commission, because then they're profiting on the rebills, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, my focus has always been all these years on really e-commerce and like traditional big brands. So I've never really worked much, except for in the very early days, I did some ClickBank digital things, but otherwise really mostly physical goods from well-known brands. Okay.
So tell me how affiliate marketing, you've been in this space for so long, and it's gone so many, as much as there's e-commerce or different types of e-commerce, there are different types of affiliate marketing to go with it. So how have you noticed that, aside from technological innovations, how has the industry changed over the last 20, 25 years?
Well, it's certainly grown, just because as it became more accessible through technology, going from the early days, people were handwriting their HTML, to now WordPress and different platforms make it so easy to walk in there and just get started with it. But so it's more accessible, but then it's more competitive too. So that's changed. So way back in the early days, back when there was GoTo before it became Overture, and then I guess I forget, there's so many different name changes, but the PPC was GoTo.com back in the 90s, and there were some affiliate programs back then that were paying per click. So you could just, I was doing arbitrage before I knew it had a name.
Yeah.
I would buy clicks for a penny and send them to these affiliate programs and get paid a dime for them.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have scaled it up more and been more greedy about it, but it was such a great return, getting 10 cents on the penny.
Yeah.
And so then that's unthinkable now. And if you came on some kind of idea like that and ran your mouth, then you're gonna have 1,000 competitors the next day.
Sure.
But it was so archaic back then. When I was first an affiliate for Amazon, there was no place to log it into your stats. They would send you your stats every quarter by email, so you could spend an entire quarter just totally doing the wrong thing and wasting time and money, and before you knew it. So it's amazing now that you can get basically live stats versus quarterly. Back then so it took me 2 quarters to even figure out how to make money, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea about conversion rates or anything.
So now you can course correct a lot more quickly, almost in real time, to see what's working and what's not.
Yeah. And for years, up until 2008, I was working as an affiliate manager. And so people would get so bent out of shape they couldn't get live stats, or at least daily. And so that's amazing compared to how ancient it was 2 decades ago.
Yeah. So if somebody's listening, they're an individual, they don't work for a big company, but they want to get started in the industry, what are we talking about here? If you really put in the time and effort and do that little bit of tweaking every day, how much money can you make in affiliate marketing?
Well, there's so many variables because of the different products and services that pay different amounts, and the different niches you can be in, as well as the time and expertise somebody has. So you can make a lot of money fast, but it's risky with PPC. But the average person doesn't have enough knowledge to probably do it correctly, so they might lose all the money they have.
Yeah.
So I think the majority of people can expect to make some incremental revenue, not a full-time not a full-time income. So maybe make 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 a month in some great situation there, but really just some extra money. And the people that are making full-time, big-time stuff, that are showing themselves on private jets or wearing fancy watches, those are an anomaly, and in plenty of cases they're faking it.
Yeah.
And then there are the stories of like a Retail Me Not, which became a huge public company, and it's all powered by affiliate marketing, but that's really a unicorn too.
Yeah, sure.
But, yeah, people. I created a site, Extra Money Answer, years ago, to try to give people a better expectation, because they were getting people that had no money to spend would go and buy some $1,000 course on how to make millions and get rich overnight. So I was trying to teach people how to understand that they could get rich slow or never, and just make some incremental income to help pay the bills, which was huge to me when I first got started.
Yeah.
Just to have that extra hundreds or 1,000 a month.
So that site is still up.
Yeah. So basically it was, and so that I was approached by a book publisher, and they wanted me to write a book that was, I forget the title they asked me to write, but it was really a get rich quick kind of angle.
Yeah.
And I was very into writing an updated book on affiliate marketing, but I refused to write that. So I just decided that for the outline I sent to them, let me just make a website out of it, sort of in a book kind of feel, where you can jump around from chapter to chapter. So it starts out very rudimentary, telling people how to think of a topic for a site and how to get a domain and hosting and things. Then it moves on to driving traffic, creating content, that sort of thing.
Cool.
But it's all free there.
Nice. It's now on the bottom of the screen if anyone's looking. That was extramoneyanswer.com, and we'll have that in the show notes. So you talked about having the resources and the tools. I actually remember, I think I was reading one of your blog posts a good 8 or 9 years ago. This was before Pretty Links, and you had a bit of code that you put deep into the bowels of your website, and you can then use your domain and put something on the end. So if it's Extra Money Answer and you're promoting, let's say, the Texans, a Texans jersey, I was able to take the snippet of code you just offered for free and be able to do that. So it was extramoneyanswer.com/Texans jersey, which would then redirect to the Amazon link or whatever. So number one, thank you for that. That was free and that helped me. But what do people, now that times have changed, what do people need to get started? And again, it is a varied industry, and you could take a lot of different tacks on it, a lot of different paths. But what would you recommend as far as basic skills, knowing how to use things?
So I think for somebody to break into it, and I'm assuming they don't have a lot of funds to invest,
Mm-hmm.
I would say just go out there and get a domain name and get some hosting, and maybe go with one of the lower end hosts at first, like a Bluehost or a HostGator.
Okay.
And then maybe if you're getting a lot of traffic later on, go graduate to a WP Engine kind of level for hosting. But at first you can get hosting for, say, maybe $5 or so a month if you pay the full year for some of the cheaper places, and you get a domain for about $10. So that's really the only investment you need to make up front for a whole year of trying to mess around with it and figure it out.
Okay.
And then the rest of it's really just getting your hands dirty, just creating content and trying to promote it. And then, like, you mentioned Pretty Link, like there's a paid version of that, but there's a free version. There's so many quality plugins you can get for free.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to pay for them unless you're really going to start getting bigger and need more of the options on them.
Mm-hmm. So just for anybody listening, Pretty Links is a WordPress plugin where or Pretty Link, I don't remember what
I forget too.
Yeah, I think it's Pretty Links. But basically, you install it for free, the basic version, on your website, and then you can use your URL, which is your web domain or the name of your website, to then create links that redirect to somewhere else. So again, you can make it something like easymmoneyanswer.com/cat toy or something, and it goes to the cat toy link on Amazon or the drop shipper you want to go to or whatever. So that's free. That's actually a really great tool. Now, what about, aside from Amazon, which is an easy way to get started, but what if you want to plug into one of the affiliate networks? You have any? I know you work with tons of them. Do you have any you recommend as far as the bigger ones?
Yeah, so since I go mostly with the bigger brands, I focus on like Commission Junction, Rakuten, Share a Sale, Affiliate Window, and there's a handful of them, but those pretty much cover all the brands that I'm looking to play with right now and to promote.
Okay. So I've always wondered how to pronounce Rakuten. I thought it was Rakuten for a long time.
And honestly, the only reason why I'm more sure about it now is that I had seen commercials for them.
You've worked with them for years. That's funny. Okay, so should you learn about SEO? Should you learn about pay-per-click? I mean, what's a good traffic strategy to start with?
So I think in the old days, you needed to become sort of like an expert in every kind of little area, or at least as much as you could find out about it. But these days, WordPress has really democratized all that. There's like a plugin called Yoast that does all the SEO for you. At least it holds your hand to tell you what to fill out and what to do for each new post. So it's PPC is more of an advanced thing where you should really know what you're doing before you invest money. I've seen plenty of people that go out there and they don't have really any money to spare, and they'll blow 500 or 1,000 or more in a month and get no results because they just weren't keeping an eye on it and they didn't know what they were doing.
We've all done it.
Yeah, so I would just tell people to be very hesitant about doing that and to read up on it first. And there are so many people that are sharing good information on Twitter and different places. So if you just search for PPC or pay-per-click or paid search, you can find a lot of experts that'll share things.
Okay.
And also a lot of conferences will, like, for instance, my conference, Affiliate Summit, ever since dating back to 2006, we've been putting up all of the sessions, the educational sessions, for free on YouTube. So there are hundreds of hours, and some of them from 5-10 years ago, or some things are outdated, obviously, but some things are evergreen. But you can see the newer things on there. You can see from the experts and the practitioners and the big consultants how they say to do things for free.
Yeah.
So while I think it's more beneficial to see these things in person and to meet people, there are a lot of free resources out there. So you don't have to go there and wing it.
That's awesome. Now, what about a direction? Because you can go 1,000 different directions. Should you pick a niche? Should it be something you're interested in, or do you follow opportunities? What do you recommend if you're just getting started?
So personally, I would advise people to pick something they have an interest in.
Okay.
Because early on, I created dozens of sites where I was chasing trends.
Yeah.
And I'd go through all that trouble to get the domain and the hosting and get it all hooked up and get my plugins all in place and create a bunch of content. Then realized that I just didn't really care about that topic.
Yeah.
So I'd spend days or weeks to create this new property that I let die in the vine a couple weeks later, because I just realized that I hated writing content about it. So I think it's key to write about things you care about and you enjoy, because then you're going to have that stick-to-itiveness there.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And it'll be more fun if you're writing about something you know and you enjoy.
Yeah. Like for
You wanna learn
instance,
about.
right now, like I have a pretty small niche site. It's for a soccer team coming to Austin, Texas, called Austin FC. And so they're not going to even be starting for another year, but I started the blog about a year ago.
Mhm.
Just about any kind of news and information about them. And they have some products on Amazon and Fanatics and a couple other companies. And so I share everything from construction updates to the stadium to new hires and get-togethers where the people can meet the executives, and just some of my own soccer stories from growing up. And so it's a pretty laser-focused audience of soccer fans in Austin and the surrounding areas. And so it's small but growing. But
Cool.
it's something I'm excited about, and I like sharing the information, and it's very gratifying to see the Facebook page and the blog just keep growing and getting
awesome.
better indexing in Google.
That's awesome. Very cool. So, what metrics should you understand? What sort of numbers do you need to know when you're getting started, both on the traffic side and on the monetization side?
So I guess if you're not talking about paid search, which adds a lot more dynamics to it, that if you're just looking to get organic traffic and send out clicks, then I would say EPC is the most important stat to keep an eye on, and that's earnings per click.
Okay.
So you're literally seeing for every click you send out, how much you're making back. So you can, and that they provide that at pretty much any of the affiliate networks.
Great.
So you can see if you're doing like some testing, maybe the same affiliate program is in two networks, you can just do some A/B testing and see if one of them happens to convert more for some reason.
Yeah.
Or just some competitors, you can just switch back and forth and see if different networks, different advertisers happen to convert better. And so to keep an eye on that makes it easy to, if a campaign just is a stinker, you can just drop it quick. Or if something's doing well, you can double down on it.
Yeah. Cool. So being able to segment and really optimize what you have, earnings per click, EPC.
Yeah. And with that, like and testing is so vital after you grow an audience and start promoting and getting more traffic. And there are some plugins too. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are some that make it really easy to do some split testing.
Yeah. As far as when to upgrade hosting, when do you go from a Bluehost to a WP Engine or one of the higher end ones?
So I learned my lesson years ago. For about 4 or 5 years, I had a very vibrant affiliate manager forum going on a host that was like a few dollars a month host.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual hosting was enough for what I needed.
Yeah.
But but with the cheaper hosting, you get a lot less coverage. Like I think they were doing they would do a backup once every 24 hours. And at one point, somebody hacked my forum. It was it wasn't vBulletin. It was some other one. I forget what it was at the time. But I guess they had an urgent update for the actual software that I missed. And so somebody searched around for the instances of this forum that had the outdated footer, and they just went in there and they were easily able to compromise it. And they deleted all of my content for years. And I didn't catch it. It was a weekend. I didn't catch it until after 24 hours had passed. And so the host backed up the hacked version instead of the good version, and everything was just gone. There was no way to recover it.
That's awful.
And so so that day I decided I was going to start paying for better hosting. That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But in general, though, I think for an affiliate, you can get by having some cheaper hosting until you start noticing issues where one big thing is that the cheaper the hosting, the more likely it's going to have some downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like a WP Engine, it's more costly, but my sites never go down. And so when you start building traffic and you're spending money for traffic, you don't want to have those downtimes, even if it's for a half hour.
Yeah.
It's going to be very costly, especially if it's during a prime time.
Yeah. Or there's a spike in traffic and your site's not up. That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess basically as soon as you can afford it, it's a good idea to do it.
Okay. All right. And you recommend WP Engine?
Yeah, I like them a lot, especially for WordPress, since that they're experts in that. And
yeah,
it's a great company. They're very well staffed and 24-hour support. And whenever I've had an issue, which is usually from some fault of my own, they've been very quick to help me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So who are some people who, and if it's, you need to think about it for a minute, that's fine, but who are some people who are individuals in the affiliate marketing space who are influencers and be good to learn from?
Well, I guess my partner for all these years, Missy Ward, she was always working before, and she focused solely on Affiliate Summit on the lead gen side. So it's people there, and she has a whole archive of content at missyward.com. So she's certainly a good person to look to.
Okay.
And Brian Littleton, who founded the ShareSale affiliate network, he's put out some great content over the years through their network.
Okay.
So I think he's awesome. There's let me see, as far as forums, there are some paid ones, but there isn't really any kind of open free one anymore that I would recommend.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess the PMA, the Performance Marketing Association, they put out some good content that's about industry-wide just trends and laws and different issues. So I definitely say to check them out.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, let's see if I can send you some. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any.
Great. It's a great start. Yeah, if you think of any, please send
Yeah.
it and we'll put it in the show notes. And I'll put all of, like I said, I'll put all of this in the show notes so people can take a look at it. So you mentioned with the PMA, they address some of the issues that people face. So let's talk about that. Privacy laws have changed. Is it the GP?
Yeah, I forget all the acronyms, but there's so we have CAN spam in the US for email, and then Canada and the UK have their own versions you have to comply with.
Yeah.
And as well as the GDPR, I forget what it is, but
yeah.
But it's they also have some privacy things in the UK and in Europe where you have to have like different alerts that you're going to be collecting cookies, and you have to have like a checkbox in it, and if you're taking any kind of opt-ins for newsletters. So it's the good thing is that there are some plugins that make that pretty easy to do to comply with that. Okay. And like if you're doing an email list with Aweber or one of the other email companies, they don't want you to run afoul of the law, so they give you all the information you need to comply as well. And then the PMA has always been focused more on what was known as like the affiliate tax or the Amazon tax, where like dating back over, I guess, 10 years or more now, if a company didn't have a physical location in a state, then they didn't have to charge tax there. But then some of the states were pushing to change that so that they would get more tax revenue. And so that's it's been a battle in a lot of states. And so what was happening was that sometimes if a state passed a law that any kind of retailers that were selling to people there at all had to have a charge tax, and it was based on, so they decided that the physical nexus would be if you had an affiliate in that state that would count as having a physical presence, and they had to charge tax. So a lot of affiliate programs started kicking out all their affiliates in states that passed this. And so it was a big mess. And so back in I guess 2011, they talked about it in the Texas Ways and Means Committee, and I went there and spoke against it, and a bunch of folks did as well, and we were able to convince them that it was a bad idea for business. And they had some of the local brick and mortar retailers, and they were saying how they were getting fleeced by all these online people, and they would be making these sales otherwise if it wasn't for the tax issue.
Yeah.
And they are overlooking the fact that usually their products are marked up so much more because they have a physical location. Yeah. Which is certainly a disadvantage, but the taxes weren't going to make that much of a difference, especially when you're looking at like $1,000 camera. If you can get it for $750 on Amazon, even if you're paying taxes, it's going to be still a whole lot less, and you're going to get it delivered to your door in a day. Right. Instead of going there and having them trying to do upsells for all kinds of stuff.
So it's definitely a complicated industry, especially just e-commerce in general, that there are all these different moving pieces and how it affects local stores. With that considered, what are some industries that are growing out of this, especially online? And what are some things? I know we said don't follow trends, or you chose not to, but what are some burgeoning industries that you're seeing come up? You know, there's people talk about financial services, and the marijuana industry is really growing. So what have you noticed?
So I'm not really sure. I guess it can't really ship. Maybe it can do like deliveries in states where marijuana is legal, but I know there are some affiliate programs for CBD products, but not necessarily for marijuana itself.
My co-host just got here, by the way.
Hey, Katie. And but so I guess I feel silly to say that I don't really have my finger on the pulse, because I really should, of what the hottest things are right now, because I've always just stuck with big brands.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have a great answer for that.
That's fine. What have you seen? What are the fidget spinners of the day, where things that were popular and you've seen kind of go by the wayside, or trends within the industry?
Well, I guess maybe trends more for the technology people are using. Like, people were so big on video for a while, but video is supposed to be the next thing for the last 10, 15 years. And affiliates never really cracked it that well and figured out how to monetize it. You can make some money off YouTube videos, and there are some technologies to click on a video to buy something, but it just never really took off as much as possible. I'd say that I guess the one big future wave, it's been popular for a while, but it just has so much upside, is pay-per-call. I think that's a very strong way for affiliates to close bigger sales that they couldn't, because people aren't going to put down a lot of money for maybe some $5,000 industrial machine. But if you can get a tracked call to that company and they can close the sale for you, makes a big difference.
So basically, you're serving as lead generation for a bigger company like that, where you're getting a potential customer to call in, and you're getting paid for it.
Yeah, so it's a call instead of a click, but it's still tracked back to the affiliate.
Okay. So
I think we'll see a lot more pay-per-call, not just for big things, but even smaller things, maybe for flowers and computers and some just regular B2C kind of stuff. Right now, I think it's a lot more strong for B2B, but I think it'll penetrate B2B more, especially for people that maybe aren't as comfortable online. Like, some older generations maybe don't want to go to 1-800-Flowers, but they'll call them up.
Yeah.
So you can just have that track to the call there.
Cool. That's one industry I've spent little to no time in, or not industry, but tool, is pay-per-call. So that's something I know very, very little about.
Yeah, I haven't really done much myself, but I can't refuse seeing the trend at affiliates. There are more and more of these big companies that are doing it. Ringba was one of our big sponsors this time, and they do it, and so many other ones do it.
So what's it called? Ringba?
Yeah, just Ring BA. And so they've got a big presence. Ring Revenue's been around for a while. There's a whole bunch of them.
Cool. That's one we'll check out, and we'll put it again in the notes. So we're getting kind of towards the end here. I know you advocate, especially starting with organic content and putting blogs out there. What do you think about putting, you mentioned YouTube. What do you think about putting videos on YouTube and having them be, mentioning your affiliate links?
So I've tried that a good amount back in years past. I think to me, video is great to really do explainer kind of videos. That's one of the biggest ways that people make money with hosting, is because sometimes it's sort of a convoluted process to go through hosting and to understand how to do everything. So there'll be some affiliates that'll say, this is how to sign up for HostGator or somebody, and this is why you should pick certain plans and all this stuff. And then they have in their YouTube description, they'll have links to buy through them. And so they get that lead money, and the hosting can be pretty lucrative with some of these, sometimes $7,500 or more. Yeah. So it's but one thing I used to do in the past was, and I guess it's become more popular again. I was doing it 10 or so years ago, and it's become more of an influencer thing these days. But I would get a new device or a new computer, and I'd do an unboxing of it. So the latest Dell or a first generation iPhone or whatever. And so I would do a video of this, and then what I would do is I would have Pretty Link and these other companies, Pretty Links. I would have some short link though for xyz.com/iPhone. Yeah. And I would put that link in the description at YouTube, and also I'd put it on the actual screen so people could type it in easily if they enjoyed that video. And also years back, my partner Missy and I decided to create a video affiliate site called WeView. It was WeView.tv, but it's long gone now. But it was all just video reviews, and some of those got crazy amounts of traffic and made some nice money for us. And some of them, they got a lot of traffic for goofy reasons. Like I did one for my kids had a water slide, like one of those big inflatable ones for the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one of my first videos ever made. And I made this great effort to never blink at all and to keep my eyes open the entire time. And so it became popular for people to try to have a staring contest with me. So I'll see if I can find that video, but it had like, last time I checked, maybe 500,000 views or something like that.
All right, I want to see that. That's really
cool.
Did you mention that at the beginning? You just
that wasn't intentional at all. I was just new to video and I felt uncomfortable. And so the whole time I had my eyes wide open like this, and it looks sort of freaky. And so people are like, "Oh, I made it to 20 seconds with them and I had to blink."
That's awesome.
But it was like a 3 or 4 minute video where I kept my eyes wide open like a maniac.
That sounds really painful.
Yeah, it was. They were so dry, I was dying. Like after I finished recording, I was like, "Oh my god!" But we had that did really well. That blog. We just can only do so much in the day, and Affiliate Summit was taking off.
Yeah.
But so I think there's still an opportunity to do something like that that's unique, where you can review things in video. And now these days you can also put it on different platforms, like Facebook video, maybe do a Facebook Live and then put it on YouTube
yeah.
So there's a lot more places you can expose it.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, which is that people are attracted to informational content, but they also are just attracted. They want to be entertained. And sometimes you can't really say, I'm going to do this. It just happens a certain way,
Yeah.
People with memes and just funny videos. So it's interesting. Yeah,
and you can't really I remember for a while there were some vendors that would guarantee they could make a viral video for your company, and that's just not possible.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine for those characters, they were probably just buying a bunch of traffic on Fiverr or something to make it appear that it was more popular than it was, because you can't really deliberately put lightning in a bottle like that.
Yeah.
There's some luck to do with it.
Well, you make a good point also, which is that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme by any means. And anybody who tries to tell you that is selling you something. And ultimately, it takes time and effort and tweaking things and trying to do different things to see what works. Or you have a bunch of money to put towards pay-per-click that you can lose quickly if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got my oldest sites are over 20 years old. So I've got a bunch of content out there that's ancient and well indexed. So there's some sites that I haven't updated in quite a while. They still pop up and get a sale from me here and there because somebody gets cookied for Amazon by reading one of my old reviews for a book or something.
Yeah.
And so the longer you churn out content, the more long tail opportunities you have to make money really sort of effortlessly, not to give the appearance that affiliate marketing is going to be just this make money while you sleep thing. But to a degree it can be if you stick to it a long enough time and have enough content out there.
Yeah. I still get clicks on YouTube videos that I put 6 or 7 years ago. It's weird. It just clicks and subscriptions sometimes come out of nowhere. And it can be discouraging if you're trying to do this the organic way and it doesn't work right away. So it really is a lesson in patience.
Yeah. I think two of the things that any new affiliate needs are patience, like you mentioned, also persistence.
Mm-hmm.
And we years ago, one of our earliest affiliate summits, we had an old pitcher from the New York Yankees, Jim Bouton, he was the one who created Big League Chew. He wrote a bestseller called Ball 4. But he was saying that he doesn't think that anybody ever fails. They just stop trying.
Yeah.
And persistence is so important. You don't have to be the smartest or the most wealthy or anything. You just have to be the one that keeps doing it and refuses to stop.
Nobody fails. They just stop trying.
And he gave the example that he couldn't even get a starting position on his high school baseball team. And then a few years later, he was pitching in the World Series for the Yankees. And he got a World Series ring, and they wrote a bestseller when he was told he wasn't really a good writer by his English teachers. And he thought that in baseball, and this is back in the 70s or the 80s, that it wasn't a good thing for a good role model for the kids to see these guys spitting tobacco out. So he thought maybe if they had gum and the kids could emulate them chewing gum, even though it's sugar and that's not perfect, but it's better than tobacco for little kids to try to be like the big leaguers. So
better than mouth cancer.
Yeah, and so that ended up being a huge home run for him. Not to make it too much of a baseball analogy there.
Right. So you've done some pretty amazing things. Affiliate Summit is really industry leading, and you helped pioneer that. What have you, in your own career, in your own life, what has served as that lesson to stay focused, stay persistent, and eventually things will pay off?
Yeah, I guess, and that's a good example because for the first 18 months, we didn't make a cent on it.
Mm-hmm.
We made a little bit of money, we plowed it right back into it. And both Missy and I were working other full-time jobs the first 5 years of it. And so we were just doing this on evenings and weekends. I was living in New Jersey and riding a commuter train an hour and a half each way into New York City.
Wow.
And it was pre-Wi-Fi, so I had to do offline work to and from work, and I would get home and on weekends. And so, but we just had a strong belief that we were doing something that was good for the industry and that it needed it. And we also, as fast as we could, we did favors for everybody we knew, and we just always tried to. I remember there was an old colleague of mine. He told me how stupid I was because I put out so much free content that I could charge for, and also people told us over the years, like, you should be making DVDs of the sessions instead of giving the information away for free on YouTube. But to us, we wanted to make this information as available as possible, and we felt it was a great sales tool because if somebody's going to sit through an hour-long session on YouTube and they've got that Affiliate Summit logo right there, it's going to make them, if they appreciate that content, it's sort of a warm lead to come to one of our next conferences.
Yeah. Do you agree with that now, that here you are years later after that advice? Do you wish you had done more to monetize it, or
Not at all.
Would you have done it differently?
We could have done it a lot differently, and since we've been acquired, they sort of changed it to be more focused on, like, we just always wanted to be a people business that we happen to do well with.
Mm-hmm.
But then after it got taken over by a big company, they really wanted to find the ROI in every single corner.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a different philosophy than we had, where we wanted to help people. And so the two of us for all these years still churned out content that was free with tips and tricks, and we'd go and speak at a bunch of conferences on our own dime for like 100 people in Denver at a blogger conference, and there was no obvious return for us, but we just like to try to spread the information and get more people excited and into the industry.
That's awesome, man. So I will put it out there that there are people who are somewhat unscrupulous in this industry, and you are such a ray of light that, forgive the kind of corny saying, but you're somebody who really just seems to be driven by helping people, and that's rare. And so I thank you for the influence you've had on me, which is sincere, you have, and just what you've done for everybody in the industry.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny because I talk about not trying to find ROI and everything, but a week and a half ago, we were in Las Vegas for the latest Affiliate Summit, and I'd say I got the best ROI of my whole career there. A bunch of people came together because it was the last one that we're going to be doing sort of on the payroll as the co-CEOs, and a bunch of our colleagues for dating back the last couple of decades, and some recent, some dating back to the 90s, early 2000s, they threw 2 different surprise parties for us and did all these great things they made videos for us and cards and awards, and just it was an amazing time to have this outpouring of love from all these people in the industry that we helped over the years.
That's amazing.
And so that made all the sacrifices early on and throughout the whole time worth it.
That's really nice. I'm glad they've done that. So you've said that you're about to move on and you're not sure what's in front of you, but do you feel like you've accomplished what you wanted to with Affiliate Summit?
Yeah, I've accomplished more than I ever could have in my wildest dreams. At the time we started the conference that we were attending, that we got pushed away from, they were getting about 200 people at each one. So we thought, like, it would be amazing if we could get like 500 people to an event. But this past one in Vegas, we had well over 6,000.
That's fantastic,
and
that's
so
pretty consistent.
Yeah,
right?
we just had a perfect rise along the years. We were slow and steady. We didn't try to get too aggressive. People would tell us we were dumb because we didn't get a bigger venue.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always a big fan of Robert Cialdini, or I'm not even sure if I'm saying his name right. I get most names incorrect, but
Yep.
But he all of his laws of influence, and one of the things I always loved that he talked about was scarcity, and also doing favors for people. But the scarcity part, we always wanted to have a venue that was a little bit smaller than we needed, so it always sold out. then we just kept scaling up because the optics wise, I always thought when we had somebody in a convention center, and if they had 4,000 people there, it looks like an airport hangar. It looks so horrible and empty because the venue is outsized for the crowd.
Yeah.
So we started small and always stayed within our limits for the space we needed. And so optics wise, it always looked great. And I think that really helped us because then people became, after we'd sell out, they'd be in a feeding frenzy. They'd be buying scalp tickets on eBay for twice what we were charging.
That's awesome.
And so the scarcity of it, it's funny, we got so much unsolicited advice over the years of people telling us what we were doing wrong. And I'd say 100% of them never ran an event.
Yeah.
But they were convinced they knew better than us.
Boy, that is evidence more than anything, just to follow your gut and do what you know is right based on your experience.
Yeah, we really wanted to create, and the two of us were, I guess probably Missy has ADHD. I might have it undiagnosed. We'd get super bored at conferences. If somebody was speaking for a half hour, I'd be looking at my watch waiting for it to end. So we just wanted to always make it a more interactive, fun environment.
Yeah.
And we switched a long time ago for all the sessions, except for the panels where you need some more time. I'd gone to a TEDx event in Austin, and I love the idea of having like a 20-minute speaker. Mm-hmm. And so they're in and out, and they have to really put it into a tight spot there, and it leaves you wanting more versus the people because I was watching so many of our videos, and I would hate seeing in some of them, we would see people walking down the aisle a half hour in because they were bored.
Yeah.
And so people just start like jumping ship. And we just felt like the conventional thing early on was you have hour-long sessions, but I realized that a lot of speakers can't hold people for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut it down by 2/3, and people were never leaving.
Yeah.
And people love that format.
It does keep it snappier for sure. Here we are coming up on 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but we've had a lot of really fantastic, usable, practical content here. So, well, let's wind things up. I have a couple more questions, and they're fun ones. One is, what beverage starts your day, and which one for quitting time? This is the one that I ask everybody.
So I always start with Diet Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
And I know good and well that soda's not great for you, but I love cold caffeine. I'm not a big coffee fan.
Okay.
And then for quitting time, I usually still drink caffeine up until like 7 or 8 o'clock. I'm just drinking a lot. But as far as any kind of like cocktails or anything, I love some Prosecco.
Oh, nice.
Big fan of that. And
you ever put the two together, Diet Dr. Pepper and Prosecco?
That might be nasty. But I for years I was crazy about beer, but it took me a long time to realize that I forever had stomach aches, and I didn't associate the fact that it was beer that was totally killing my stomach with gluten stuff.
Interesting.
So so I had to switch over to a non-beer thing or drink the gluten-free beers, which are mostly horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I Prosecco so it's got sort of a fancy regal thing to it, but I enjoy drinking out of the bottle to bring it back down to earth.
Yeah. Can't get too fancy.
Yeah.
I have something in my fridge by Lagunitas. It's it's hop something where they basically, it's not a beer, which Lagunitas is known for out of Petaluma, but they made something that's non-alcoholic, and they call it Hop Refresher, I think it is.
Well, I've even seen that.
Yeah, I got it at Total Wine, and I haven't tried it. I actually got it for my father-in-law. And so we're going to try it. Now, if you want, I'll let you know how it is, but it was like $5 for 4 of them, and you can get it at Total Wine. And if it's Lagunitas, it was very highly rated. So it might be something to check out. Yeah.
And I love them as a brewery for all their beers.
Yeah.
But, and unfortunately, this only really benefits people who can't have gluten that live in the Austin area. There's a brewery here, Austin Beer Works, and so they're not officially gluten-free, but they put some kind of enzyme in the process, and so it makes it very gluten reduced.
Oh, nice!
So, and they've got like 8 or 10 beers that are delicious, real beers that don't bother me.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, the whole industry is kind of leaning that direction of trying to cater more to these food allergies and people who are trying to be healthier. So
yeah,
we could sit and talk beer for like hours if you wanted to, but sounds like we'd be talking Prosecco. So what's the best way? We talked about extramoneyAnswer.com. which we're now showing on the screen. But if you're listening, it's extramoneyanswer.com. But what's the best way for folks to learn more about you, what you've done, and so on and so forth?
Well, I guess one of my original blogs that's still live and that has just crazy thousands amounts of posts is affiliatetip.com. And so I started that, I think, in 2004, or maybe even earlier than that. And I made a sort of a challenge to myself to blog every single day for a year back in the mid 2000s. And I stuck with that for probably 6-7 years. And so I just have all kinds of tips and news and information and resources on there.
That's great.
Right. These days, I maybe make 2 posts a month, but I had the archives in there are very deep with information and tips.
Awesome. So affiliatetip.com, and it's Shawn Collins, SHAWN Collins.
Yeah. And on Twitter and Facebook, I'm just my name, Shawn Collins, for the username.
Okay.
And I'm active on there. LinkedIn, I'm Shawn Collins as well, but I haven't gone there much. I haven't actually applied for a job since the 90s. So I don't really have much to do with LinkedIn besides posting articles and trying to get some traffic.
Okay. All right, man. Anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
Just want people to know that since my face looks weird looking in the wrong direction, that my camera is at the bottom of my screen on my computer for some reason. So I feel like I look odd looking up into nowhere here. But just for an FYI to people that I'm not.
You look like you've been looking straight at me the whole time, so I don't think it's as bad as you think.
The way it looks to me is that I'm looking at the ceiling.
Huh. Interesting.
But anyway, it's because I have a weird placement for my camera, and I'm trying to look at you and not the camera.
Not a problem, man. No big deal.
To me, it looks sort of goofy.
No big deal. Well, guys, we've been listening and talking with my friend Shawn Collins from affiliatetip.com and affiliatesummit.com and extramoneyanswer.com. He's a busy man. He's a great guy. So definitely, if you're interested in affiliate marketing, check out any one, if not all of these sites, especially Affiliate Tip and extramoneyanswer.com, because he has so much great content. My name is Benjamin Portnoy from Side Hustle Elevator, where we provide community and information, education on how to make more money and passive income through fun and fulfilling side jobs. So to learn more about us, go to www.sidehustleelevator.com. I have blog posts and videos and interviews like this one with Shawn, all kinds of free content and free tools that you can use there. www.sidehustleelevator.com. If you're listening to this on any one of the podcasting networks, whether that's iTunes or Spotify or Google Play, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up and a like and everything else. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.